Hey folks, this is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be talking to you today. It is our privilege as advisors and my team at Lord & Richards to be talking with people just like you every single day about how you can achieve financial independence in a volatile world. And talk about volatility. We've got wars in Russia and Ukraine. We've got hurricanes in Florida. We've got an economic recession looming on the horizon. We've got market crashes. It is a challenging time. And the folks I'm talking to are worried that events out of your control are going to mess up your retirement. That's the bottom line. And so what we're going to do is teach you at Lord & Richards how you can develop a plan to achieve retirement without worry. We call it a financial independence review, and we'd love to talk to you more about it. Today, we're going to begin with a Bible study found in Proverbs 28, and we're going to grab 3 verses from this segment of Solomon's wisdom. Proverbs 28:6 says, "Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways." The title of this segment is, "When is it better to be poor?" When is it better to actually be poor? You say, well, Colin, I don't think I've ever craved poverty in my life. Well, it's better to be a poor man that has integrity than a rich man who is crooked. The passage goes on to say, "A rich man is wise in his own eyes," Proverbs 28:11, "but a poor man who has understanding will find him out." So again, now we've got integrity, we've got understanding or wisdom compared to a rich man who is either crooked or just thinks they're smart. Then Proverbs 28:8 really gets down and dirty here. "Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers it for him who is generous to the poor." So some real contrast between the poor and the wealthy, but in this case, the poor is being held forth as an example, and the wealthy person is being held forth as a person to be despised. Well, what does that mean? Well, when is it better to be poor? Well, number one, it is better to be poor and be a person of integrity than have all the riches in the world. Your integrity, your character, your reputation, that's what's going to matter to you at the end of life, not how much riches you have amassed. And too often, those who have amassed significant wealth have done so unjustly, right? The stories go on and on of people who have taken advantage of others in order to accumulate wealth. Maybe they've cheated on their taxes. Maybe they've undermined somebody else to get ahead. This person is described as a crooked person, twisted in how they view life and how they go about their ways. Their thinking gets twisted, and they believe it's all about them. This type of person really organizes their whole life around themselves, their pleasure. And you know what? You don't have to be a rich person to think this way. People of all economic levels can become selfish and self-oriented. You say, well, I do things for others. I do these kinds of... Well, here's the question. Is that the habit, the pattern of your daily life? Or are those occasional things that just randomly happen that aren't really a part of your character? Whereas the poor person in this passage is a person who walks a straight path, right? He has integrity. Integrity comes from building materials, right? We talk about building materials having structural integrity. They can withstand pressure, right? They can withstand heat. And those that don't have good enough integrity are going to buckle under circumstances. Well, that's an analogy of life, right? If you've got integrity, if you've got character means that no matter what the pressure, no matter what the heat, you're going to stand up for what's right and always do what's right. You say, well, that sounds pretty hard to achieve. Well, it is in our own flesh, but with the power of God and Jesus Christ in our life, we can live a life of integrity. Now, talking about these rich people who are crooked in their ways, perhaps according to Proverbs 28:8, perhaps part of that is they're charging excessive interest. We call it usury, right? The Hebrew word for interest in this passage, or usury, means to bite. And it's a word form that is also used to talk about a snake. So visualize the biting of a snake, and that's what it's like to charge interest on the poor. When the wealthy charge interest on the poor, they are taking a bite out of that person. Now, of course, you might be asking, well, Colin, is it always wrong to charge interest? I mean, I thought interest was okay. Well, the Bible pushes the wealthy towards giving to the poor, not charging them interest. In the mind of God, it's better to meet the need rather than to make that person work potentially for years to replace the money. Now, when interest is charged, it should never be usury. It should never be an exorbitant amount. A small amount of interest as a business endeavor, lending is okay. In the end, though, the crooked rich man lends his money out to get a little bit of interest off the backs of the poor, but he ends up leaving his money to those who are generous to the poor, according to the passage. They will gather it for him who is generous to the poor. Now, there's a second reason it's better sometimes to be poor. Number one, if you're a person of integrity. Number two, if you're a person of wisdom. It's better to be poor and have wisdom. You know, sometimes just being wealthy makes a person think that their thinking and their worldview has been validated. Look, I'm successful. I'm rich. Therefore, you need to listen to me. Well, the wealth that they achieved may have been done crookedly. They may have gathered it in a crooked manner, as we've already discussed. So it really is only evidence of their foolishness, right? So you can look around. It doesn't take long to look at how some people spend their money and realize that is a foolish person, right? Extravagant living, gold-plated fixtures, hot rods, and high-end cars end up eating all that they have, and it does very little good for themselves or others. But a poor man of wisdom and understanding will uncover the folly of the rich man. A poor man who has wisdom and understanding will actually find out the rich man who is in folly. So there are a couple of times when it's better to be poor. If you can have your integrity intact, choose being poor over being rich. If you can have wisdom, choose poor over being rich. Now, does God say that automatically having wealth and riches is wrong? No. Very often he will bless. But let me tell you something, riches and wealth are more of a test than a blessing. It is a test of your character. It's a test of your integrity. It's a test of your wisdom. And those who use them wisely will heap to themselves treasures that are eternal and not temporal. Well, here at Lord & Richards, we are trying to help you make wise decisions of character and integrity about whatever it is that God has entrusted to you. Whether that's a nice retirement portfolio or whether you're just getting going, we want to help you and encourage you along the way. And we have a wonderful process we call a financial independence review. It just means sitting down with a compassionate, caring, highly qualified advisor to help you navigate the path to and through retirement safely and without worry. It just starts with a simple conversation.